MSNBC interrupted Governor Kristi Noem, saying she was very wrong to say that leftist-run cities are being overrun by crime and looting. To fact-check her, Rachel Maddow brought on the Seattle mayor, Jenny Durkan. Jenny Durkan. So we're going to play this clip here, and we're going to come back and give some commentary. Let's give a full screen.
Interject here just for a moment. That was South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, who said a lot of things, but we have, as we've said over the course of this coverage, we will interject when we feel like there's something that's important and deliberate and very wrong that should be corrected, just so that we feel responsible about our broadcast. In this case, Governor Noem just said, from Seattle and Portland to Washington and New York, Democrat-run cities across this country are being overrun by violent mobs. The violence is rampant. There's looting, chaos, destruction, murder. People that can afford to flee have fled. Joining us for more on that and to essentially run a reality check on that assertion is the mayor of the great city of Seattle, Jenny Durkan, who's joining us on short notice. Mayor Durkan, thank you very much for getting on the phone with us tonight to respond to this from Governor Noem. I just wanted to ask your impression of those remarks from her.
So thank you for letting me respond. I will say one thing. She is very right about one thing, and that is our values are at stake: equality, freedom, and opportunity. And unfortunately, this president does not stand for any of those values. And her caricature of the great cities across America is not only wrong, it's purposefully wrong. I think she needs to get off Twitter and get off Fox News and come see our city. Seattle is it is a city that I raised my two children in, and I would not have raised them anywhere else. They're fine young men, as are their friends. We have our violent crime is down 5% this year. We have people are not leaving Seattle. In fact, again, our housing prices continue to increase, and the people moving here are young families.
Yes. That was Mayor Jenny Durkan, brought on to fact-check Kristi Noem, in saying that she was very wrong to say that leftist-run cities are being overrun by crime and looting. Very wrong. It's very ironic, I'm sure, as you can assume, very ridiculous to bring on Mayor Jenny Durkan of Seattle to fact-check the claim that leftist-run cities are being overrun by crime and looting. Because in Seattle in particular, what did we see with the Chaz Chop Zone? Well, Mayor Jenny Durkan said that it was like a block party, that it had the aura of it had the feeling of a block party, it had the feeling of one big party, and it was mostly peaceful. And what did we see happen while she was saying this? And even after she said this, well, we saw many shootings occur. I think there were 6 different shootings in the Chaz Chop Zone that resulted in a couple of deaths, if I'm not mistaken, including a black teen. Both of the deaths were black people killed by other black people. Once again, if I'm remembering that correctly. We also saw the Seattle police chief resign because of the plans to defund the police, as well as the city council meeting where they proposed legislation to replace the police completely with gender-affirming, anti-racist counselors. We saw many rapes occur. We saw many assaults occur. We saw many fires occur. We saw business owners come out and talk about the extortion that was going on in and outside of the Chaz Chop Zone. Very interesting that they decided to bring on Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkan to debunk this claim, which she did not at all. All she did was bash President Trump, orange man bad. That was basically what this came down to. And then on top of that, if we look at Mayor Jenny Durkan, the only reason why she decided to order the dismantling of the Chaz Chop Autonomous Zone was because her own house was threatened by these rioters. They said that they were going to march to the mayor's house to demand change, to demand action, to demand social justice. Right now in Seattle, we have clips coming out of these Black Lives Matter activists marching through white suburbia in Everett, in Mount Lake Terrace, some of these other suburban towns, marching in these towns demanding that white people give their homes to black people as a form of reparations. We have business owners fleeing at a faster pace than we see business owners fleeing from Minneapolis and New York City right now in Seattle, according to the latest data. We also have homeowners selling their homes at a fast pace in the city of Seattle, citing crime and citing the plans to defund the police. We have police officers coming out anonymously and giving statements on the situation in Seattle prior to even George Floyd, where they say, and you can look this up for yourself, it's in a documentary called Seattle is Dying, posted by one of the local news outlets there in Seattle. So the local news outlets are covering this madness, but it's the national news outlets that are burying this so that the rest of the nation can't find out. But in this documentary, there are anonymous quotes from police officers. One of them says, they come here, this has been deemed Freeaddle, right? They said the nickname for Seattle among police is called Freeaddle. When you come here, you get a free syringe, a free house, a free tent, free drugs, and you're free of prosecution no matter what you do. And so crime is surging in Seattle, the same city where that Mayor Jenny Durkin represents, who is brought on to fact-check this claim. I believe I have the statistics here. If not, I've went over them before. But I think it's something like 100% increase or something like that in the city of Seattle itself. But then on top of that, we have all of these other cities that are seeing surges in crime. But we're going to start out with this article that was linked to me earlier, and it was about the U.S. cargo theft for the quarter two of 2020. And if we look at this map of where U.S. cargo theft is happening, we can see it's happening in these major metropolitan areas, right? We can see that it's happening in a lot of these cities where a lot of these BLM riots are occurring. Now, this happened in now, the cargo theft, I mean, I think that this broadly includes, from what I understand, it's trucking. It's mostly trucking. And we're going to get to the truckers in a moment because the truckers have made a promise, and it looks like they're going to be keeping that promise very shortly here, which is going to spell bad news for a lot of these major cities run by Democrats in the country. But if we look at this, there was a video that came out from Los Angeles, I think in the middle of June. I think this occurred. And this was occurring all over Los Angeles and many other cities across the country where these Black Lives Matter rioters were robbing Amazon trucks. This was like a trend. I think I saw 3 or 4 videos just like this one. This one's specifically from Los Angeles. I'm going to play this for you right now. Let's go ahead and... So that's what happened in Los Angeles, but this is happening with truckers nationwide in a lot of these cities that have, many of them have defunded a lot of the police. They said no audio. Was the audio not playing there? It looks like the audio was playing. Just a little bit low. I can't turn it up because it's a link that I went to. Someone said Amazon, Jeff Bezos is giving Black Lives Matter millions. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you look at these people. Like, what did we just see in Minneapolis? I played this this clip. Did I play it? Was it yesterday? I played this morning on my pre-recorded segment on BitChute. they're rioting in Minneapolis. They're probably going to more riots are planned for tonight in Minneapolis over this guy who shot himself. I showed you that clip, I think, this morning on BitChute. It might have been yesterday on DLive too that I showed you. But they looted this Target. They ran into this Target, and they looted this Target. They started destroying everything within the Target. If they couldn't grab something of value, they were just like knocking down shelves and just making sure that they destroyed everything. But Target is one of those companies that is also rewarding this sort of behavior with millions of dollars, and so is Amazon. Amazon, Jeff Bezos. It's like every time these people cause chaos, every time these people loot and riot, the only response that they receive is reward and praise, or just the media completely brushing under the rug what they do. So what do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen? I mean, these people are like the literal children of our society. So if you treat a child's wrong behavior with reward, if your child doesn't do his homework or draws on the walls or shoots the dog with a BB gun, I don't know, I'm just coming up with like random things, and you buy that child presents or give that child money, of course they're going to continue to do those actions because all they know is being rewarded with money or favors or positive rhetoric for those actions. So of course these things are going to continue. And we've seen this all even before a lot of this like Black Lives Matter stuff began. They were just doing this just because. And this is where the whole teen thing comes in. This was an article that I posted on the redelephants.com back in March 15th of 2018. And there was like this walkout protest. I don't know if you guys remember this walkout protest, but Chicago police are trying to identify around 60 students from Simeon Career Academy. Simeon Career Academy. Oh, man. Oh, just wasting our money on these education for these people. Simeon Career Academy, who went on an extremely damaging spree while they were supposed to be protesting guns Wednesday. So we can draw parallels from this, right? We look at what's going on. We look at what these Black Lives Matter protesters are doing, and they're basically just using any excuse to riot and loot these stores. The guy who killed himself in broad daylight. They're looting stores. They're destroying businesses. They don't care what these people do. They will find a reason to get their free Gibbs. They will find a reason to get their free Air Jordans. They will find a reason to get their free Timberlands or whatever it is that these teens buy nowadays. Chicago police, more shockingly, several Walmart employees have reported that they also heard gunshots outside during the rampage and that some of the students were throwing smoke bombs. One Walmart employee, an eyewitness, provided a statement to the Red Elephants. Quote, "These guys jacked up our store pretty good. They pounced on cars in the lot, vandalized 2 of the school buses parked here, threw Gatorade bottles at shoppers, smoke bombs, and we heard gunshots in the parking lot," he said. The Red Elephants have obtained exclusive security footage of the student rampage in the Chicago Walmart during the protest. Now, we obtained this. This was someone gave us, one of the sources gave us this footage. Of course, since our Twitter account went down, it was deleted, so I had to replace it with this footage that was posted by Ian Miles Chong. I know a lot of you think a lot of things about Ian Miles Chong, but here was this footage here. Here's what happened. This was during a walkout protest. It's so funny. Oh yeah, so it says source. He says, let me full screen this here. It says source footage, the Red Elephants. I wish he would have gave me a background like he did up here, but whatever. Anyway, here are these teens rampaging through the Walmart. I like the music, though. Someone says he's a retard, but a useful source. Yeah, I strongly agree with that. Gotta get that grape drink. All the purple, all the purple Hawaiian punch was gone, or it wasn't there, so they didn't. So. He black. Anyway, you get the point. So, I mean, I wanted to bring that up because it's very relevant to what's going on today, where these people will just find a reason to go and loot and rob stores and burn shit to the ground. They did the same thing. This was supposedly supposed to be over a protest about guns. Shoppers and store employees were stunned by the level of destruction they left that morning at the Walmart in Chatham Market on the south side of Chicago. One Walmart employee filmed the aftermath and posted it to Facebook. Quote, "This was the students from Simeon High School," she said during the live stream. Simeon Career High School. I'm not sure that a lot of these people are actually going to find themselves careers, but that was some of the pictures that our source took from inside the inside the Walmart the moment that this happened there. So back to the cargo robberies that are happening nationwide. Truckers recently said that they won't deliver to cities with defunded police departments, according to poll. And why should they? A lot of these food deliveries are done by private trucking companies. A lot of them. And if we see the U.S. cargo theft in the quarter 2 of 2020, or in 2020 in general, rising substantially, why in the world would these truckers deliver to these cities if they're likely to have substantial loss, if they're likely to not, get a return on investment? This spells disaster for these cities that are thinking about defunding the police, that are refusing federal help from the federal government to quell the violence that is occurring in these cities that are experiencing riots. Why in the world would these truckers deliver there? Did you see what happened to the trucker who got pulled out of his car and they attempted to kill this guy? Did you see what happened? They beat him ruthlessly, violently beat him, pulled him out of the truck and beat him to the ground. We saw this in the 92 riots. Of course they're not going to go to these cities. So what's going to happen? The store shelves are going to go dry. And not only that, but we're seeing this looting and the robberies of these stores. We saw this tweet from just a couple of days ago where there was a CVS or a Walgreens in Kenosha, Wisconsin. They said that they can't stock the shelves quick enough, so they're just not stocking the shelves. And then we see all of these other things happening in these cities. We see movers in New York City are too busy. They're turning people away. So many people are moving from all of these major cities in the country, and especially New York City, that moving companies are turning people away. They just don't have the time to move them. We also have this Fox Business article. Businesses leaving downtown Portland over lawlessness. So businesses are leaving. People are leaving. These cities that Rachel Maddow claim are not crime-ridden, or not in any threat whatsoever. Truckers are not going to be delivering to these cities. Violent crime explodes across American cities following nationwide protests. Violence has spiked in cities nationwide following weeks-long anti-police protests over the death of George Floyd, according to government statistics and media reports. Residents in Minneapolis have created patrol groups to protect themselves after the city's crime spike, and shootings in Atlanta rose 265%. 265%. Paging Rachel Maddow. Compared to last year during an almost month-long period. Seattle's Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, Chaz, led to a 525% increase in crime, including the death of 2 teenagers. So I was correct on that. I did remember that correctly. Paging Mayor Jenny Durkin. In Seattle, more broadly, 200% rise in crime. As crime rates rose, activists have called to abolish police, an idea that's gained traction among liberals. Former Hillary Clinton campaign spokesman Brian Fallon, singer John Legend, and women's soccer star Megan Rapinoe have all supported dismantling the police, and the protesters have touted the idea during demonstrations. In Chicago cops are retiring at an unheard of twice the usual rate. In New York City, NYPD sees troubling surge of retirement filings, officials say. And this is happening across all of the major metropolitan areas of the country.